quite lucky. We've got a few Vibascums in the planting bed already, and I think with this free draining substrate we've got between the paving, you can already see that they've started to find a new home. Amongst all the weeds there were some treasures. There's things like Vibascum Chanxii, and there's a Philopendula area behind me, and things like Achillea and Nepeta have all found their way into the terrace already, and it's only been laid for, I don't know, 6 months. So it's going to be a really interesting process to see how this terrace evolves, and perhaps adding to it or perhaps just editing. So Rosa Lynchfield Angel. I'm glad we put that hazel support in because it's really kept it upright to make sure it doesn't rot away. Hedges need a bit of a trim, but they're thickening up well. One beautiful aster in the garden. It's linked with the Astambolata, but I've realised perhaps just a couple more of those would do really nicely.
Amazing how many leaves are off already, isn't it?
I know. It's kind of shifted into its autumn period for a couple of weeks now.
It does stand out, doesn't it? And to think that this is obviously how beautiful it is in autumn, and then come winter it's probably more so.
Yeah, in the whole garden it's probably my favourite tree. Which is funny because it came with the garden.
Yeah. Well done for the people before you planting it, and then you're getting to inherit it. How wonderful.
In summer the garden's just full of flower. So sometimes, and even in the spring, we've got apple trees around here. But I think in the winter, when everything's bare and it's quiet, to have that fiery, tassely kind of flower inside from the kitchen window, and when you come back from work, or come back from anywhere, it's kind of the first thing you see when you cross the bridge. So it's very special. I think because, like you said, because it's busy, you never look at one thing in particular. It's like, whereas the Hamamelis is in isolation, it's the only thing in the garden that is flowering. And for that, I think there's more beauty in that than perhaps a whole planting scheme full of flowering perennials.
Now's the time to take a step back and assess the planting beds. Take notes of things that are doing well and looking nice together, but also important to look at the things that need editing, possibly dividing, and even just moving in the beds. So we've got this area here, which isn't doing so well, and that's because of Rose Bay Willow Herb. Really beautiful plant, found in the landscape, and actually made its own way here into the garden. But we kind of let it stay because we liked how loose and romantic it was, and it connected to the landscape, which was really nice. But it is very thuggish, quite bullish. And as you can see here, it's actually caused a lot of the perennials to thin out. Some of them, like the Veronicastor, to actually just grow away and be leaning on the topiary dome. It's a plant that you really tread a fine line with. Looks great, but left to its own devices can cause a lot of problems in the bed. Harry's done a great job at actually removing all of it. It's inevitable it's going to come back, but it's something that we'll stay on top of in the future. The reason we left Rose Bay Willow Herb in here is because we love that connection to the landscape. We've got other plants in here where we're doing the same, like Filipendula ulmaria, Dischamtia cespitosa. We've got more ornamental eupatorium, but you can find the native one out in the landscape as well. So we love that connection. We love threading that line through from an ornamental garden to a more natural surrounding. And we feel like it's really important, especially in this garden, because it's a very natural setting here. And what we didn't want is a garden that stuck out, that didn't feel like it was of this place. So by choosing plants like that we see in the landscape and bringing them into the garden and pairing them with more ornamental flowers, we feel like that's a great way at connecting this whole space.
This pathway has always been very narrow, and I've always wanted to kind of create a little bit more space, or a feeling of space. So I've got Cecillaria, Greensley hybrid, along with a little geum which was already here. And that's going to control the front of the bed really nicely. Before I had Dischamtia, which kind of flopped over and it became a bit of a nuisance. Behind it I've got a peony, it's late windflower, and it's my favourite peony, mostly because it has a very natural air to it. It's very sensitive and it's got a pure white flower with a golden stamen, and it has this lovely nodding appearance. I've got two umbellifers that I'm using. I've got Cheirophyllum and I've got Selenum, and they're slightly different in appearance. The Cheirophyllum has a much larger leaf, it almost reminds me of hogweed, whereas the Selenum is much more dainty and ornamental. But they're going to flower at different times, and it's going to keep that life in this bed. And then to finish, I've got an Aster to link with the one that's already in the bed. This is called Pink Cloud, and I was kind of drawn into it by the scale of its flower and leaf. It's beautiful to change up scales within planting beds, and it has a lovely relationship now at this time, but it's a little bit more soft and gentle. It's not quite as bold.